I noticed a frightening pattern about 5 years ago. It wasn't in the news, it wasn't in the financial reports they feed you on cable television. It was in the eyes of the people standing on the subway platform at 7 in the morning. Look at them. Really look at them next time. They aren't just tired, they are calibrated. They are running a script that was installed in their minds when they were 6 years old. A script that says, trade your time for safety. Trade your autonomy for a deposit that hits your bank account on the 15th and the 30th of every single month. But here is the glitch. Here is the anomaly I found. If you look at the data, and I mean the raw, unfiltered economic data of the last 40 years, you see that while these people are working harder, running faster, and upgrading their skills, they are actually getting poorer. Mathematically, irreversibly. You have felt this. I know you have. You get a raise, maybe 5%, maybe 10%. You celebrate. You buy a slightly better car. But 6 months later, the bank account looks exactly the same. The pressure feels exactly the same. You are running on a treadmill that is slightly inclined against you, and someone just increased the speed. Most people call this life. They call it adulting. I call it the salary trap. And it is not an accident. It is an architecture. It is a designed economic enclosure meant to keep you liquid enough to work, but dry enough to never stop. Today, we are going to deconstruct this architecture. We are going to look at the source code of the 9-to-5 model. I am not going to tell you to stop buying lattes. That is advice for people who want to stay poor comfortably. I am going to show you the difference between the labor system and the money system, because once you see the code, you can't unsee it. And that is the only way you can start building the tunnel out. Let's look at the first layer of the trap, the linear equation. The fundamental flaw in the employment model, the 9-to-5, is that it is based on a losing mathematical formula. Income equals rate times hours. It looks harmless. It looks fair. But it is a prison cell. Why? Because hours is a finite variable. You have 24 of them. That's it. You cannot create more time. You can only sell what you have. Even if you don't sleep, even if you don't eat, you hit a hard ceiling. This means your income has a theoretical maximum limit. The system tells you the solution is to increase the rate. Get a degree. Get a certification. Become a senior vice president. Sure, you change the multiplier from $20 an hour to $200 an hour, but the equation hasn't changed. You are still trading a finite resource for a currency that is being printed to infinity. Do you see the mismatch? You are selling time, which is scarce and strictly limited, for fiat currency, which is infinite and constantly diluted. This is the first rule of the system hacker. Never trade a hard asset for a soft asset. Time is the hardest asset you have. Cash is the softest. When you sign an employment contract, you are agreeing to sell your life wholesale to a retail buyer. And the system loves this. It loves it because it makes you predictable. It makes you a distinct, manageable unit of production. But there is a second layer to this trap, one that is much more insidious. It's called the tax filter. Have you ever noticed that when you get your paycheck, the money is already gone? The government takes its cut before the money even touches your hands. You are in what we call a first position tax bracket. You earn, you get taxed, and then, only then, do you get to spend what is left. This is the default setting for the employee class. Now, look at the entity that pays you, the corporation. They operate on a completely different operating system. They earn. They spend everything they need: computers, travel, dinners, cars, business expansion, and then they get taxed on what is left. Do you see the inversion? You pay tax on the gross. They pay tax on the net. This isn't a loophole. This is the code. The tax code of the United States and almost every Western nation is thousands of pages long. Maybe 10 pages are designed to tell you how much you owe. The other thousands of pages are a manual of incentives for business owners and investors. The government needs jobs and housing. If you provide jobs, business or housing, real estate, the government gives you a pass. If you only provide labor, you pay the bill. By staying in the 9-to-5 model without a secondary structure, you are volunteering to pay the highest subscription fee to society possible. You are effectively paying a premium to be safe. But is it safe? Let's talk about the silent killer, the invisible script running in the background of the economy. Inflation. They tell you inflation is 2%, or 3%, or maybe, in a bad year, 8%. They lie. They measure inflation by a basket of goods that they can manipulate. They substitute steak for ground beef in the calculation to make the numbers look better. But look at the things you actually want. Look at the price of quality assets. Look at the price of a home in a safe neighborhood. Look at the price of the S&P 500. Look at the price of gold. Asset inflation is running at 10, 15, sometimes 20% a year. If your salary goes up by 3% and the cost of buying your freedom, buying the assets that generate income, goes up by 15%, you are moving backward at high speed. You are bleeding out, but you don't see the blood because the number on your paycheck got slightly bigger. This is the money illusion. It is a psychological patch designed to keep you calm while your purchasing power dissolves. So we have a system where 1. Your input, time, is limited. 2. Your output, cash, is taxed at the maximum rate immediately. 3. Your savings are being eaten by the inflation engine. This is the salary trap. It is a triple-locked room. Now, I know what the standard advice is. I can hear the voices of the financial gurus on morning television. Save 10% of your income, put it in a 401k, wait 40 years. Let's run the simulation on that. You save. You deny yourself today for a tomorrow that is 4 decades away. You put your money into a vehicle you cannot touch without a penalty. Who benefits from that capital in the meantime? The banks, the funds, the system. They use your liquidity to make massive plays, and they throw you the crumbs, 7 or 8% if you were lucky. And when you finally retire, what happens? You start withdrawing. And guess what? You are taxed again, as ordinary income. That is not a plan. That is compliance. To escape, we need to switch operating systems. We need to move from the labor system to the money system. What does the money system look like? It requires a fundamental shift in identity. You have to stop identifying as the worker and start identifying as the allocator. In the money system, income does not come from doing. Income comes from owning. Let me explain the concept of decoupling. Your goal, your only real goal if you want freedom, is to decouple your income from your physical presence. As long as you have to be somewhere to get paid, you are vulnerable. If you get sick, if you burn out, if the manager decides he doesn't like your face, the stream stops. Decoupling happens when you build or buy something that exists outside of you. This is where people get tripped up. They think, I need a business. So they start consulting. They start freelancing. Listen to me carefully. Freelancing is just a job with a worse boss, yourself. If you stop working, the money stops. That is still the labor system, just without the benefits. We are looking for assets. An asset is a piece of code, a piece of land, a contract, or a business system that works while you sleep. Let's break down the 4 pillars of the escape map. These are the 4 vehicle types that the wealthy use to leave the gravity well of the salary. Number 1. Business equity. This is the holy grail. But notice I said equity, not operations. You build a system, you hire people, you create a process. Eventually, you step back. You own the shares. The shares pay dividends, or the shares grow in value. This is high risk, high reward. But it is the fastest way to solve the capital problem. Number 2. Real estate. I don't mean the house you live in. Your house is a liability. It eats money. It demands taxes, insurance, repairs. I am talking about rental property, commercial or residential. Someone else goes to work, earns money in the labor system, and pays you a portion of it to use your space. You are effectively taxing their labor. It sounds harsh? Maybe, but that is the mechanic. Number 3. Paper assets. Stocks, bonds, index funds. This is the easiest to access, but the slowest to build. It creates wealth through compound interest. The problem is, to live off this, you need a massive pile of cash. We are talking millions. It is a good storage tank for wealth, but a slow engine for creating it. Number 4. Intellectual property. This is the sleeper agent of the digital age. Code, content, books, patents. You write the code once. You record the video once. It gets viewed or used 1,000,000 times. The marginal cost of replication is 0. This is infinite leverage. The system hacker looks at these 4 pillars and asks, how can I acquire these while I am still stuck in the trap? This is the transition phase. The most dangerous part of the mission. Most people try to jump. They quit their job with 0 preparation. They crash. They go back to the cubicle with their tail between their legs, and the system tightens the leash. See, it says, it's dangerous out there. Stay inside. We don't jump. We build a bridge. You stay in the 9 to 5. You use the salary not for consumption, but for acquisition. You become a double agent. By day, you are the smiling employee. You nod at the meetings, you drink the bad coffee. You say synergy and circle back. But by night and on weekends, you are funneling that capital into your escape vehicle. You live well below your means, not because you are stingy, but because you are strategic. Every dollar you spend on a consumer good is a soldier you just fired from your army. Every dollar you put into an asset is a soldier you recruited to fight the inflation war for you. Let me tell you about the crossover point. This is the mathematical moment your life changes. It is the moment when the income from your assets, your rent checks, your dividends, your royalties, equals your monthly survival number. If you need $4,000 a month to live, and your assets generate $4,001, you are free. You might keep working, you might not, but the power dynamic shifts instantly. You no longer work because you must, you work because you choose. The fear evaporates, the boss loses his leverage, you can speak the truth, you can take risks. But how do we get the capital to start? We use the system's own weapons against it. We use leverage. The bank will not lend you money to start a business easily. They think it is risky. But they will throw money at you to buy a house. They will give you hundreds of thousands of dollars if you put a tiny bit down. This is arbitrage. You control a massive asset with a small amount of equity. If you buy a rental property with the bank's money and the tenant pays off the bank's debt, who is getting rich? You are. You are using the bank's money and the tenant's labor to build your equity. This is what I mean by hacking. You are finding the rules that were designed for the rich, and you are applying them to your situation. Now, let's go deeper. Let's talk about the ultimate cheat code used by the ultra-wealthy. It is called buy, borrow, die. This is how the billionaires pay virtually zero tax while living in luxury. If you sell an asset, say some Apple stock that went up in value, you trigger a taxable event. The government takes 20% or more. So the rich don't sell. They go to a bank. They say, "Look at my portfolio. It is worth $10 million. I want a line of credit secured by this portfolio." The bank says, "Sure, here is $5 million in cash at 3% interest." Because debt is not income, it is not taxed. Let me repeat that. Debt is not taxed. So they take the tax-free cash, they live on it, they buy cars, they go on vacations, they buy more assets. And the interest rate on the loan? It is usually lower than the growth rate of their assets. If their portfolio grows at 8% and the loan costs 3%, they are actually making money on the spread while spending the cash. And when they die, the cost basis of the assets resets. Their heirs sell the assets, pay off the loan, and keep the rest tax-free. That is the game. That is the level of engineering happening above your head while you are worried about getting a 3% cost of living adjustment. I know what you are thinking. I don't have $10 million. No, but the principle remains. The principle is own things. Don't sell things. Borrow against things. The salary trap is designed to prevent you from owning things. It keeps your liquidity so low that you can never accumulate the down payment for the first asset. It keeps you tired so you never have the energy to learn the game. It seduces you with lifestyle creep. You get a promotion? The system tells you to upgrade your apartment. Get the lease on the BMW. Now you have higher fixed costs. You need the job even more. You are digging the hole deeper. The hacker does the opposite. Income goes up. Lifestyle stays flat. The delta, the gap between what you earn and what you burn, explodes. You pour that delta into the asset column. You have to fall in love with the unsexy work of building the foundation. It is boring at first. Watching a savings account grow to buy a duplex is not a movie montage. It takes 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But compare that 5 years to 40 years of servitude. And there is another element here, a psychological one. We need to talk about status. The salary trap is reinforced by status signaling. We are social primates. We want to show the tribe we are successful. In the modern world, we do that by buying consumer trash. Watches, designer clothes, new cars. These are tokens of poverty. When you see a guy in a Ferrari, you don't know if he is rich. You only know he spent $300,000. He might be drowning in debt. He might be one missed paycheck away from ruin. Real wealth is invisible. Real wealth is the freedom to wake up at 10 in the morning on a Tuesday and go for a walk in the park because you don't answer to anyone. Real wealth is the ability to say no to a toxic client. You have to kill your ego. You have to be okay with looking average to the outside world while you are building an empire in the shadows. Let your friends lease the Teslas. Let them post the vacation photos on credit. You are playing the long game. You are playing for ownership. Now, let's address the fear. The system runs on fear. fear of losing health insurance, fear of the gap on the resume, fear of being an outsider. But look at the reality of the employment market today. Loyalty is dead. Companies lay off thousands of people via email. AI is coming for the white-collar jobs. The safe path is crumbling. The riskiest thing you can do today is to have only one stream of income. That is like trying to stand on a one-legged stool. If that leg breaks, you hit the floor. Diversification is survival. You need to view yourself not as an employee, but as a business of one. Even if you have a job, you are a business. Your employer is just your biggest client. But a business with only one client is a failed business. You need to diversify your client base. Start a side hustle? No. Start a side revenue stream. There is a difference. A hustle implies grinding. A stream implies flow. Look at the digital economy. It has never been easier to productize your knowledge. What do you know? What are you good at? There are people on the internet right now selling spreadsheets, selling templates, selling obscure knowledge about gardening or coding or woodworking. They are creating digital assets. Maybe you make $500 a month from a digital product. That doesn't sound like much, but do the math. To get $500 a month in passive income from the stock market at a 4% dividend yield, you would need to save $150,000. Creating a product that pays $500 a month is equivalent to having $150,000 in the bank. That is the leverage of the creator economy. It is a way to bypass the capital requirements of the old world. So here is the protocol, the step-by-step for the system hacker. Phase 1. Audit. Track every penny. Not to save on coffee, but to find the leaks. How much are you paying in interest? How much is going to subscriptions you don't use? Stop the bleeding. Phase 2. The gap. Freeze your lifestyle. If you get a raise, hide it from yourself. Set up an automatic transfer so you never see that money in your checking account. Phase 3. Education. Stop watching cat videos. Stop watching the news. The news is designed to keep you scared and passive. Read about tax law. Read about real estate cycles. Read about market mechanics. Financial literacy is the language of the ruling class. Learn to speak it. Phase 4. The first asset. This is the hardest hurdle. The first 100,000 is hell, as Charlie Munger said. You will scrape, you will sacrifice, but you must buy that first income-generating asset. Maybe it is a dividend stock portfolio. Maybe it is a garage you rent out. Maybe it is a small online business. Once you have one, the psychology changes. You see the proof of concept. You see money arriving without your labor. It is addictive. Phase 5. The flywheel. Reinvest everything the asset produces. Do not spend the fruit of your tree. Plant the seeds. Let the asset buy the next asset. This is where compound interest goes vertical. Phase 6. The exit. This is when your passive income covers your burn rate. You hand in your badge. You walk out the door. You disappear from the labor force and reappear in the owner class. Listen, this isn't about greed. I don't care if you want a yacht or a cabin in the woods. This is about autonomy. The salary trap is a mechanism of control. It keeps you too busy to think. It keeps you too tired to revolt. It keeps you dependent on the hand that feeds you. History shows us that whoever controls the food supply controls the people. In the modern world, money is the food supply. If you rely on a corporation for your money, they own you. If you own the assets, you own yourself. It is going to be uncomfortable. Your friends will think you are boring because you don't want to go to the expensive bar. Your family might say you are taking unnecessary risks. Let them talk. They are reading from the old script. They are operating on an operating system that was designed for a world that no longer exists. The Industrial Revolution is over. The pension era is over. The gold watch era is dead. We are in the era of the sovereign individual, the era of the hacker. You have the tools. You have the information. The internet has democratized the knowledge that used to be locked in country clubs. The door is open. But the system is designed to make you think it is locked. It's just a mental trick, an optical illusion of safety versus danger. The danger is staying where you are. The danger is waking up at 65 years old, looking back and realizing you spent your entire life building someone else's castle, simply because you were afraid to lay the first brick of your own. Don't let them win. Start today, not with a grand gesture, but with a decision. Look at your bank account, look at your schedule, and ask yourself, am I building a pipeline or am I just carrying buckets? Stop carrying buckets. The well is drying up. Start building. And remember, the first step isn't financial, it's psychological. You have to reject the premise of the trade. You have to reject the idea that your time has a price tag. Your time is priceless. So stop selling it. I'll see you on the other side. Listen to the bigger story. We'll be in the game's your life and do the day. I'll teach you is this. Now or day. I'll see you on the other side. Listen to the day. I'll see you on the other side. I'll see you on the universal day and join the gang. The time is priceless. You have just carried version. The well is drying up, so stop carrying buckets. Stop carrying buckets. The well is priceless. You have to reject the premise of the trade. So stop carrying buckets. Your time is priceless. You have to reject the premise of the trade. Your time is priceless. 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 I'll see you on the other side. Now hear you on the side.